Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I'm honestly so thrilled you're joining me today because we're jumping into something absolutely game-changing. Today we're looking at ACIM Lesson 107, which is simply this: truth will correct all errors in my mind. It sounds kind of basic at first, right? But believe me, the depth packed into this one sentence, it literally has the power to completely rewire how you handle your day, your stress, and really your whole reality.
Okay, let's dive right into this. That quote we just talked about, truth will correct all errors in my mind, that is our absolute core mantra for today. Think of it as the structural anchor for this entire explainer. Whenever we start getting into the weeds of the deeper philosophy here, I want you to mentally circle back to this exact phrase. We aren't out here wrestling our errors to the ground or fighting our thoughts. We're actually just stepping back and letting truth do all the heavy lifting for us. So the source text asks this really brilliant question. What can correct illusions but the truth? And it follows up by asking, well, what are errors anyway? They're just illusions that we haven't recognized yet for what they actually are. The text makes this incredible point that wherever truth enters, errors don't put up a fight. They just disappear. They vanish without a single trace. Why? Because without your active belief keeping them alive, they have no life of their own. They literally just dissolve into nothingness. From dust to dust, they come and go. Because at the end of the day, only truth remains. Now, let's translate some of this esoteric language into our actual everyday lives, right? When the text talks about illusions or errors, it is not talking about some magic trick. In this context, illusions are your everyday fears. They're those nagging doubts or, that 2 a.m. anxiety over an email you sent 3 days ago. They're just passing thoughts that can totally wreck your mood. The text calls these dead ideas. And yeah, they feel super real when you're caught in the middle of them. But the secret here is that they are entirely powerless. They only survive because we feed them with our belief. So in stark contrast to all that exhausting mental noise, we have truth. If illusions are constantly shifting, truth is the exact opposite. It's defined here as the unchanging reality of peace. It's perfect constancy. We're talking about absolute safety and a love that is so complete it needs zero defense. Think of truth as the absolute bedrock of your existence. It doesn't hide in the shadows, and it is obviously immediately accessible to anyone who actually seeks it out. When you put the two side by side, the difference is honestly pretty wild. The text beautifully describes illusion as having shaky, unsteady footsteps. Illusions come and go, they constantly shapeshift, and they evade capture. Like one day your anxiety is all about work, and the next day it's about a relationship. It's always morphing. But truth? Truth stays exactly as it always was. It stands right out in the open light. It's this steadfast, reliable presence that you can depend on through literally every seeming difficulty the world throws at you. And what happens when that steadfast truth actually arrives? It completely occupies your mind. It frees us from everything ephemeral. Fear, doubt, the urge to attack, pain, those exhausting dead ideas, they are just gone. There is absolutely no room for pain to linger when truth takes up all the space. They don't disappear because you fought an epic battle with them. They disappear because they literally cannot exist in the same room as the truth. All right, I want to pivot for a second from the purely intellectual side of this and talk about how this actually feels. The text poses this really profound question, and I want to ask it directly to you right now. So take a breath. Can you imagine what a state of mind without illusions actually is? Like, how would it honestly feel to be 100% free of those everyday anxieties and doubts we just talked about? To get a sense of that, let's do a really quick visualization straight from the source material. I want you to try and remember a time, maybe it was just for a minute, maybe even less, when absolutely nothing interrupted your peace. Just a fleeting moment where you were completely certain that you were loved and you were perfectly safe. Got it? Now try to picture what it would be like to take that one single beautiful moment and extend it to the end of time. Now hold on to that feeling for me. Take that profound sense of quiet you just felt and imagine multiplying it 100 times over. And then multiply it another 100 more. The text tells us that this massive, unimaginable multiplication, that's just a hint. It's just the faintest intimation of the deep, absolute rest your mind will experience when truth has finally come. So how do we actually put this into practice today? Well, we are leaving the shaky, unsteady footsteps of illusion far behind us. No more doubting. The text says we practice today on the happy note of certainty that is born of truth. We are going into this as certain of our success as we are sure that we live and breathe and hope and think.
And here is the best part, the crucial point of all this. How much time do you actually need? 5 minutes. That's it. The text just asks you to give gifts of 5 small minutes today to let truth correct your mind. A 5-minute investment to create this massive ripple effect of profound healing and change, not just for you, but for your entire experience of the world.
So let's break down the actual steps of this 5-minute exercise. First, you begin by asking him, that higher awareness, your true self, to go with you. Because remember, the text emphasizes you aren't just flesh and bone. You're created by a self-same thought, sharing this joyful function. Second step, you state your pledge. Third, you just let yourself be gently led into deep peace. And finally, fourth, you return to the world, bringing that promise of change with you.
Let's take a closer look at that pledge, because this is really the core of your 5 minutes. Taking a slow, deliberate breath, you say with total confidence, "Truth will correct all errors in my mind, and I will rest in him who is myself." I highly encourage you to really feel those words during your practice. Let them completely sink in. Allow yourself to be wrapped up in a peace so deep and so tranquil that you'll honestly return to your familiar everyday world reluctantly.
Now, here is why this matters on a much grander scale. When you do this, you aren't just doing some isolated self-help exercise. The text makes this incredible point. Every single time you confidently tell yourself that truth will correct the errors in your mind, you are actually speaking for all the world. By simply correcting the errors in your own mind today, you are carrying that exact healing truth outward. The errors surrounding the whole world are corrected just by letting them be corrected in your own mind. It's amazing. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. You were not meant to suffer. You were not meant to get lost in these dreams and anxieties. You were meant for perfect peace. So the question I'll leave you with is simply this. Will you give 5 small minutes today to let truth correct your mind, and in doing so, help set the entire world free? I really hope you step away, take those 5 minutes right now, and experience that profound rest for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.